Good afternoon. I'm Raine Musñgi. This is Newsfeed. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas cuts interest rates yet again. As expected, the central bank announced a 25 basis point cut, its third such reduction this year. This brings the key interest rate to 5.75%.
Well anchored. The balance of risks to the inflation outlook continues to lean to the upside, due largely to potential upward adjustments in transport fares and electricity rates. The impact of lower import tariffs on rice remains the main downside risk to inflation. The Monetary Board noted that domestic demand is likely to remain firm but subdued. However, downside risks in the external environment could materialize and temper economic activity and market sentiment. On balance, the within-target inflation outlook and well-anchored inflation expectations continue to support the BSP's shift toward less restrictive monetary policy.
BSP Governor Eli Remolona Jr. also signals more rate cuts next year, but he notes a 100 basis point range is too much. A bloodbath at the Philippine Stock Exchange as investors keep an eye on the central bank's latest policy decision. The PSEi index down more than 1% to close at 63.95. This marks its seventh day of decline. All sectoral indices ended in the red, with mining and oil falling the most at over 2%. Total value turnover was at 6 billion pesos. Among the day's most active stocks, only BDO Unibank finished in positive territory. Ayala Land had the biggest decline, falling 4%. In the U.S., the Federal Reserve also delivering its third consecutive rate cut this year. Central Bank on Wednesday lowered its key interest rate by a quarter percentage point, but it also signaled that it might slow the pace at which borrowing costs could fall any further, mostly due to still elevated inflation. U.S. stocks plunged following the bank's comments.
We have to stay on task, though, and continue to have restrictive policies so that we can get inflation down to 2%. The U.S. is not feeling really the effects of geopolitical turmoil, but we are certainly at a time of elevated geopolitical turmoil, and it remains a risk.
The U.S. government, meanwhile, is on the verge of a shutdown. This after President-elect Donald Trump urged Republicans to reject a stopgap bill that would keep the federal government funded past Friday. He told lawmakers to pass a different temporary spending bill free from what he called Democratic giveaways. Trump also wants to use the bill to address the debt ceiling. Should Congress fail to pass a stopgap measure, the U.S. would see its first government shutdown since 2018 or during Trump's first term at the White House. And before we go, here are today's market winners and losers. And those are the news this hour. I'm Raine Musñgi. Stay tuned to BNC on Free TV Channel 31, Channel 24 on Cignal, and on our website, bnc.ph. Thanks for watching.